being here today.
It's a good thing to be last. That means that we're getting nearer to things that we can discuss in a more informal way. As presented up here, my name is Debbie Critchfield. This is not my first time to Kootenai County nor to Coeur d'Alene, but it is my first time in this group, and so I thought it might be valuable for you to learn a little bit about me on the personal side. My husband Dave has joined me on the trip, and my sister-in-law is a teacher at Fernand Elementary, and she's lived here for over 20 years, and so this is a regular stop on our summer list. There's few places better than June in Coeur d'Alene, and so we've made it a habit to come up this way. My husband and I live in the Magic Valley area, Cajun County, specifically in Oakley, where we have farmed. My husband's a fourth generation farmer. We raised 4 children there, and we are happy that we added to our family with in-laws and with 2 grandchildren. And so that's been a focus of our lives, has been our family and what we've been able to do. Coming from a rural background, it has been an interesting experience in preparation for understanding the diversity and the uniqueness of Idaho. There are definitely shared interests around the state, but when it comes to how and where we educate our students, there are some very stark differences. I want to share with you a little bit about my experience in education. For the last 20 years, I've been involved in every level of education that you can think of, from kindergarten to postgraduate medical education. I chaired Governor Little's education task force a couple years ago and was the chair of the committee to get kids back into school last summer. I've been involved with the dual credit task force, with technology task force, and had the opportunity to serve in a number of ways to understand the system, the networking, and what our students need here in Idaho. And I believe because of that, I've got the preparation and the experience where it counts. I do want to take some time to talk to you about a number of things that are important to me, and being the last of the 3 candidates, you've heard a number of things touched on today, and I want to touch on some of those things as well, but I want to spend the bulk of my time talking about something that is important to me and I believe is important to every Idahoan. I will first start with this. We have experienced the biggest disruption in education, and are experiencing the biggest disruption in education in our modern times. We're all living that, the biggest disruption to our lives since the Spanish flu. We need real leadership, we need a vision. We have got an opportunity to create something that suits what we want, that reflects the values of Idaho, and that takes in the needs of our students and our families. This is not the time for sound bites or political victory laps. It's a disservice to you and to the students of Idaho to stand up here and represent things that are not accurate. Having said that, there are wonderful things that are happening within our system and within our schools and with our communities, and those things are to be celebrated and talked about. But we have some places that we can do better. There are 3 things that I talk about when I am out and around and fortunate enough to talk to groups and to individuals. And I will touch on 2 of them more briefly and want to expound upon the last one a little more in depth. The first thing I talk about is local control. As a former local board member, I appreciate what it means to be in charge and to make the decisions that reflect your community expectations. And I did that for 10 years in Cajun County. And I understood the places where the state was helpful and where the state was not. I will suggest to you a thought that Idaho has not developed a real system of accountability. Local boards are accountable to who?
Voters.
The voters, wherever, thank you for that, the people that elected them. They're not accountable to the state of Idaho, to the federal government. We need to design our system around real accountability, not around measurements and reporting and data and putting things out on the dashboard so that you know how somebody did something. We want to train and prepare and support from the state level our local board members so that they are in a position to create the conditions that help every student to have a high quality learning environment. We have an opportunity to support those good people that are elected and to help them reflect those things that you would like them to do. And I have got a subset of ways that I believe that we can help accomplish that takes in financing, that takes in helping them bring in teachers from the community. And I'll share one example. I believe that local districts should have the ability to authorize teachers within their own system without having to go through an onerous process on the state level. You all know that we have a teacher distribution problem in the state. There are a lot of talented, quality people that our districts would like to be able to bring into the classroom that they could, vouching for them as locally elected people without having to go through a lot of bureaucracy and a lot of paperwork. And I share that as one example. The other thing that I talk about quite a bit is how we empower parents. And this has been touched on, and you will hear distinctions, and you will probably hear some similarities. I believe that we all agree in this room that parents are the primary stakeholders in the lives of their children. You've heard that repeated over and over. Through a series of initiatives and other actions that I've been involved with, I have experience in being able to make those things happen. Last year, many of you will recall that Governor Little, with federal stimulus dollars that became available, put together a Strong Family, Strong Students program that gave money to parents to make educational decisions for their children during the pandemic. I will tell you that that was my idea. That's what I brought to him. I felt strongly that parents needed to be able to supplement the needs, whatever that looked like, to be able to help them. I am a proponent of school choice, and I will add this: 70% of Idaho is rural. There are not formal choices everywhere in the state. So we can first start with the premise that public schools should and can be a school of choice as well. That they can have the same resources and the same abilities to enrich a child's life like any other learning environment. We want to make sure that wherever a child is, based on the needs and the information that a parent has, that they feel that they're getting the education that is suiting them. In the last 6 months, I have visited. Last Thursday was the 41st school that I've been to. I did that not as a political move, but as a way to understand and learn how we serve our students. And the school that I went to was a private school. I've been to private schools, public charter, every version of public schools, and have talked to and visited with homeschool parents. Every avenue that's available to teach our children, I've been able to see that. There are some incredible things that are happening. I talked with the directors of this private school and saw what they are doing, and the feeling comes to me, as it does to all of you, when you hear and see something and you think everyone needs to be able to access that type of information. And that's a role that the state superintendent can provide for you. That they are out, they are listening, that they are gathering the information and sharing it and creating a network among deciders, local boards and superintendents, so that they can see how things are done and how they can improve the environments that their students are in. All right, I want to talk to you, spend a little bit more time on something that I'm very passionate about, and that is preparation and how we prepare our students. I believe that readiness is the 4th R of education. When you took your child to kindergarten or wherever it was that you decided to begin formal education for your child, I can guarantee you that you didn't walk into the room and think, my hopes and dreams for my child is that they'll be very good at calculus by the time they graduate from high school. You had an expectation that the learning environment would help your child know how to think and not what to think, and that they would be able to make decisions for themselves, that they would be able to use the knowledge. It's not just about knowing, but it's also about doing. I want to bring back an emphasis and a focus on skill development, and that takes in how we know how to do things. It's not just the knowledge, but it's how we do things outside. When we view and have historically viewed the process of educating our kids, you get a diploma and we walk across the stage, the student walks across the stage and we all cheer. And then what? What do we do with that? We need to transform and how we talk and how we experience the junior and senior year in high school, so that we have a focus on what matches the skills and the needs of each student. I want to bring forward a required graduation requirement for personal management or financial literacy. No offense to calculus, those of you that are good at calculus, I hope you don't feel like I'm picking on you. It's fantastic that we can do the quadratic equation, although I would have to get some help on that today probably. But we need our kids to know what a 401k is. We need our kids to be able to budget. We need our kids to be able to be productive citizens, to take care of their own family, and to contribute to the community around them. These things do not magically happen. You've got to have a vision, you've got to have a plan, and you have to know what the problem is that you're trying to address. A couple years ago, while I was working in my school district, I had the opportunity with 2 school districts, the College of Southern Idaho and a number of businesses, to develop an apprenticeship for our juniors and seniors in the area where they could get into a machine operator's apprenticeship that was federally recognized, that students could work during the school year, during the summer, and with successful completion would have a job finishing high school. I went to the enrollment of the next group of kids in the fall, and the recent graduate of the program, a 19-year-old wonderful, nice man, is making $70,000 a year working for High Desert Milk in Burley, Idaho. Isn't that exciting? That's what we want for all of our students. We want them to see where they can be successful. This is what I would like to bring in force to our state. We can do this. We can create internships, apprenticeships, and frankly, externships for our teachers so that when they're in teaching their biology class and a student says, when am I ever going to use this because I like biology, they don't have to say, well, you could be a biology teacher. You know, you could do a number of things with any of the interests and things that you are good at. One other thing that I want to draw attention to that is a personal goal of mine and how we talk about supporting the emotional needs of our students. I started a suicide prevention awareness group in the Cassia County area between Minidoka and Cassia counties, and how we talk about that. I want to tell you that all of those programs and everything that I've been involved in this arena has been designed to empower a parent to be able to help their child. That's who needs to help their child. The school system is there to refer out and to refer up. How we provide those connections is very important in how we talk about those things. Whether it's suicide ideation or other emotional issues that are causing distress in a child's life, they are important, but we are not trying to turn teachers into counselors. What we're trying to do is identify issues that we can then have conversations with parents about, and then how do they work with their child. That's the most successful way that we can change this. I can't change the society and how the dynamics of families, but that doesn't mean we shouldn't stop talking about it, and it doesn't mean that we shouldn't try to provide the resources that we can within the context of the school setting. I also started a program with a local board member in Cassia where every student, without questions asked, has access to a 1-800 number where parents can call and talk to someone on the other end and get immediate help outside of the school system. Many parents don't feel comfortable going in. They have confidence and trust issues, and when your child is in distress and in crisis, you're not sure where to turn to. And unfortunately in Idaho, there are 2 places that parents can turn now. One is to law enforcement and the other is the emergency room. Those are not the solutions. How we talk about this is so critical, and how we put these programs out to be able to help local districts partner in communities and use the professionals that are trained to be able to work with them. That's how we empower parents. That's how we provide meaningful opportunities for them to be at the forefront of everything that their child does. So I've given you kind of a smattering of a bunch of things, or other things that I feel very strongly about. I will say this, emphatically, I do not support CRT in our schools. I don't know how else to say that. Brandon referenced House Bill 377 not being strong enough. That may be the case. I was the only education official that was invited at the table last spring when that came about. There may need to be more work done on that. That's fine. But Idaho was one of the very first states to acknowledge that and to call that out. And I think that that's worth noting. And the fact that I was invited into that, I hope signals to you the confidence that others have in me for my leadership skills, my ability to problem solve, and to think through things that need to be done. I'm so happy to be here. I am passionate about education. I know that this room is too. We can do incredible things. This is a wonderful opportunity. We're not midstream. We are at a wonderful place where we recognize what the issues are. We know where we want to go, and you need a leader that's going to be able to put all of those things together and take us there. Thank you so much for your time, and I hope you enjoy the rest of the afternoon.